Chapter 61. Heather is my new least favorite flower. I didn't think anything could be worse than our fishing expedition with Harold. I was wrong. As soon as we left the harbor, the sky darkened. The water turned as black as squid ink. Through the haze of snow, the shoreline of Boston morphed into something primeval, the way it might have looked when Skirner's descendant first sailed his longship up the Charles. Downtown was reduced to a few gray hills. The runways at Logan Airport turned to sheets of ice floating on open water. Islands sank and rose around us like a time-lapse video of the last 2 millennia. It occurred to me that I might be looking at the future rather than the past, the way Boston would appear after Ragnarok. I decided to keep that thought to myself. In the quiet of the bay, Gilar's outboard motor made an obscene amount of noise, rattling, growling, and coughing smoke as our boat cut through the water. Any monsters within a 5-mile radius would know where to find us. At the prow, Falar kept watch, occasionally shouting warnings to his brother. "Rocks to port! Iceberg to starboard! Cracking at 2 o'clock!" None of that helped calm my nerves. Sir had promised we would meet tonight. He planned on burning my friends and me alive, destroying the 9 worlds. But in the back of my mind lurked an even deeper fear. I was about to meet the wolf at last. That realization dredged up every nightmare I'd ever had about glowing blue eyes, white fangs, feral snarls in the darkness. Sitting next to me, Sam kept her axe across her lap where the dwarves could see it. Blitzen fussed with his yellow ascot as if he could intimidate our hosts with his wardrobe. Hearthstone practiced making his new staff appear and disappear. If he did it right, the staff shot into his hand out of nowhere, like a bouquet of flowers spring-loaded in a magician's sleeve. If he did it wrong, he goosed Blitzen or whopped me upside the back of the head. After a few hours and a dozen staff-induced concussions, the boat shuddered like we'd hit a cross-current. From the bow, Falar announced, "It won't be long now. We've entered Amsvartenir, Pitch Black Bay." Gee, I looked at the inky waves. Why do they call it that? The clouds broke. The full moon, pale and silver, peered down from us from a starless void. In front of us, fog and moonlight wove together, forming a coastline. I'd never hated the full moon so much. "Lingve," Falar announced, "the Isle of Heather, prison of the wolf." The island looked like a caldera of an ancient volcano, a flattened cone maybe 50 feet above sea level. I'd always thought of Heather as purple, but the rocky slopes were carpeted in ghostly white flowers. "If that's Heather," I said, "that sure is a lot of it." Falar crackled. "It's a magical plant, my friend, used to ward off evil and keep ghosts at bay. What better prison for Fenris Wolf than an island entirely ringed with this stuff?" Sam rose. "If Fenris is as big as I've heard, shouldn't we be able to see him by now?" "Oh, no," Falar said. "You have to go ashore for that. Fenris lies bound in the center of the island, like a runestone in a bowl." I glanced at Hearthstone. I doubted he could read Falar's lips behind that bushy beard, but I didn't like the reference to a runestone in a bowl. I remembered the other meaning of Pertho, a dice-rolling cup. I didn't want to run blindly into that caldera and hope for Yahtzee. When we were about 10 feet from the beach, the keel of the boat ground against a sandbar. The sound reminded me unpleasantly of the night my mother died, our apartment door creaking just before it burst open. "Out you go," Falar said cheerfully. "Enjoy your walking tour. Just head over the ridge there. I think you'll find the wolf was worth the trip." Maybe it was my imaginations, but my nostrils filled with the smell of smoke and wet animal fur. My new Enharyi heart was testing the limits of how fast it could beat. If it hadn't been for my friends, I'm not sure I would have had the courage to disembark. Hearthstone leaped over the side first. Sam and Blitzen followed. Not wanting to be stuck on the boat with Lobster Dwarf and his jerky-eating brother, I swung my legs overboard. The waist-deep water was so cold, I imagined I'd be singing soprano for the rest of the week. I slogged onto the beach, and a wolf's howl split my eardrums. Now, sure, I'd been expecting a wolf. Ever since childhood, wolves have terrified me, so I did my best to gather my courage. But Fenris's howl was unlike anything I'd ever heard, a note of pure rage so deep it seemed to shake me apart, breaking my molecules into random amino acids and icy Gingo Gap runoff. Safe in their boat, the 2 dwarves cackled with glee. "I should have mentioned," Falar called to us, "the ride back is a little more expensive. All your valuables, please. Gather them together in one of your bags. Toss them to me. Otherwise, we'll leave you here." Blitzen cursed. "They'll leave us here anyways. That's what they do." At the moment, heading inland to confront Fenris Wolf was very low on my wish list. At the top of my wish list was cry and plead for the treacherous dwarfs to take me back to Boston. My voice quavered, and I tried to act more courageous than I felt. Get lost, I told the dwarfs. We don't need you anymore. Falar and Galar exchanged looks. Already the boat was drifting further away. Didn't you hear the wolf? Falar spoke more slowly, as if he overestimated my intelligence. You're stuck on the island. With Fenris. That's a bad thing. Yeah, we know, I said. All right, the wolf will eat you, Falarbat cried. Bound or not, he will eat you. At dawn, the island will disappear and take you with it. Yeah, thanks for the lift, I said. Pleasant trip back. Falar flung up his hands. Idiots! Suit yourself. We'll collect your valuables from your skeletal remains next year. Come on, Galar, back to the docks. We might have time to pick up another load of tourists. Galar revved the motor. The longship turned and disappeared into the darkness. I faced my friends. I got the feeling they wouldn't mind another rousing speech like, We're a family of empty cups, and we will dominate. Well, I said, after running from an army of dwarves, facing a monster squirrel, killing 3 giant sisters, and butchering a pair of talking goats, how bad can Fenriswolf be? Very bad, Sam and Blitz said in unison. Hearthstone made 2 OK signs, crossed them at the wrist, and flicked them apart, the sign for awful. Right, I pulled my sword from pennant form. The blade's glow made the heather look even paler and more ghostly. Jack, you ready? Dude, said the sword, I was forged ready. Still, I get the feeling we're walking into a trap here. Show of hands, I asked my friends. Is anybody surprised by that? Nobody raised their hands. Okay, cool, said Jack. As long as you realize you'll probably all die in agony and start Ragnarok. I'm down. Let's do this.